Well, I was at work one morning thinking it was going to be a typical morning. I received a phone call from Robert, and Robert told me that he was planning on retiring from being the director of the Georgia Forestry Commission. And actually, when he told me that, my heart dropped, because I got thinking, being on the board, well, what are we going to do now with Robert gone? So things just started running through my mind about how Robert had brought us through one of the worst depressions we've had in our country and in the economics of our state, and still being able to manage a forestry commission in a very professional manner and getting us through all those budget cuts, and still working with the people to get that done, and then getting the results we were getting. Then I remember things about Robert as how he cared for people, how there was a potential he would lose a real good employee, and he'd done what was right to make sure he was able to secure the employee for the benefit of the Forestry Commission and actually for us here in the state by having that individual. So I saw those kind of characteristics in Robert of how he took care of people, and he was concerned about the health of the commission. Then I remember seeing him at maybe a public hearing or public events, and how he was able to do something very similar, talking to those people in the public. So I was seeing this individual that we were fixing to lose that had all those attributes that I thought was very important, and that's what made the Forestry Commission a winning team. Then I also was able to be exposed to how he handled and managed the legislature and worked through the budget and making sure we got the right equipment, right raises for his people there and our people to work in the state. So I was seeing those attributes, and again, like I said, it physically made my heart drop thinking about we were going to lose Robert. And then one of the reasons I thought that is because when I was asked would I be willing to serve on the Georgia State Forestry Commission board, I was excited about doing it, and I said certainly I'd want to do it, because I felt almost like a high school student being recruited by a championship football team, because it would give me a chance to go to a winning team. I wanted to be part of the Georgia Forestry Commission in some way, and it'd been all of my life, and actually professionally 38 years of working in the timber industry. So I had worked along with and been around the Forestry Commission. So I knew what they were doing for our state. I knew it was one of the, if not the best, one of the very top agencies we have in the state. But I knew the people in the Forestry Commission and the leadership of Robert Farris is what made it a championship team for me to be part of. So with him leaving, it did make my heart sink, but I know that he's going to move on, and him and Bev will have a good life in retirement. And I want to congratulate Robert on his years of service to our state and our timber industry. It's very important what he's done, and I hope they have a happy and successful life. And I know we won't lose him. He'll still be around the timber industry, and I look forward to continue working for him. Now, one thing that he did tell me in that telephone conversation, he said, I asked him, well, what was he going to do? And he said, well, he's been told if he retired, he could do what he wanted to do every day when he woke up. And Robert, I want you to know that's not correct. You're going to do whatever Bev wants you to do every morning when you wake up. But again, congratulations to you, and I appreciate what you've done. My family appreciates what you've done. My community and our state, Robert, we thank you. Have a wonderful retirement, and look forward to seeing you.
Robert has been, one of the utmost professionals, obviously working in the agency for the number of years he's had, the dedication, and he's always been a promoter of his people, of the Georgia Forestry Commission, and as much as that, he's also been a promoter and a strong advocate for the forest industry in general. We've been and shared many initiatives together, and been in, I would say, battles together. And there's not a greater person that I'd rather be with than Robert Farris in those battles. I thought, boy, it'd be great to turn the clock back, and just go back to cruising timber, or, working in the woods and things like that. But he's played a big role in this state. He's obviously had a big impact with the agency. He was the right person at the right time as director for that, and I want to wish him all the best in his next chapter of his life.
When I first joined the board, Wesley Langdale was a good friend of mine. kept telling me what a great person Robert Farris was. And so when I came in to work with Robert, I came with that as a background. And what I found out in the end was that Wesley was absolutely 100% spot on. Robert is a wonderful person. He's a fine Christian man that's been married to the same woman for years and raised 4 children. And I think Robert's character is beyond reproach, and I think the world of him. And he's done a great job for the Forestry Commission, and it's going to be very difficult to replace him with a person that has the interest of the employees at heart like he does, and the interest of all the partners that we work with at Georgia Forestry Commission. And I have the utmost respect for Robert, and I wish Robert nothing but the best in whatever he does after retirement from Forestry Commission. I will say that whatever he does, I know he'll be 100% successful. Robert's just that kind of individual. So I think he's a great individual, and I wish him the best.
He's a state forester, and we would think that a state forester would have a great sense of direction. But I'm not sure Robert knows which way's north, south, east, and west. I think he could get lost in the bathtub, so I kid him all the time about having a road map. Robert Farris' style of leadership is a style of what I call a servant leader. I don't think Robert would ever ask anyone to do anything that he wouldn't do himself. And it's been a pure joy to be a part of his life and get to know him and watch him in all types of venues, whether that's on the Hill in Washington, D.C., talking about a forestry or a land issue, or whether that's down in the woods fighting a catastrophic wildfire. All across the gamut, anywhere in between, Robert can connect with people because he is a people person. We talk a lot about doing the right things right. We got posters all over that talk about the right things right, but Robert Farris lives, he does the right things right. And so it's easy to get in behind that when you're believing in that. Robert, I hope you have time to work on your fish pond and get some fish in there before you have grandchildren. I know that's something it's been near and dear on his heart for a long time. We're gonna miss you. We love you, and we're here for you. Don't forget about us.
I've known Robert Farris for about 15 years now, and one of the things that really stands out to me about the relationship that I've had with Robert is just at the very foundation of every single time I've had any interaction with him has been a foundation of a calm presence, someone who knows who he is, what he wants, and how he's going to contribute to the world that we live in. And honestly, a lot of people search for that type of peace and that ability to apply that to their lives, their entire life. They get anxious when there's a change in life. Their kids go off to college, or they're going to retire, or they have a change in their career. And I'm sure Robert's, has gotten nervous during those periods of his time too as well. But you never see it. And when you can work with somebody that's got it together like that, that extends to you, and that extends to everybody around them too as well. And when you think about what it takes to be a good leader, there's a lot of things that Robert embodies. He's intelligent, he's sharp, he thinks about things in a systematic way, and he's able to put all the pieces and connect all the dots that are out there together. And that's not easy in a world of forestry that's so diverse and so large and encompasses so many just geographic areas, but also people and talents. And so for me, having had that opportunity to work with Robert has been a privilege. And it's always someone I know I can turn to for help. I can turn to for advice. I can turn to when it's time for us to roll up our sleeves and get something done. Also, I think that one of the things that's been so important about Robert's career was that he managed the Forestry Commission through the Great Recession. And as we all know, the Great Recession impacts the economy overall, but where it hits the most oftentimes is in government. And Robert had the foresight to be able to understand the changes that had to be made to be able to keep the Forestry Commission healthy. Those are decisions, actions, and thoughts that take a lot of courage. They're not the things that, it's a course of action that we don't necessarily always want to take or enjoy doing, but at the end of the day, we have to. No one ever wanted the Great Recession to happen. No one ever wanted state revenues to drop. No one ever wanted people to lose their jobs. But at the end of the day, we had to make some tough decisions, and all those require leadership. All those require positioning the Forestry Commission to be able to be stronger in the future. And that's what Robert's left us. He's left us a Forestry Commission that is well positioned to be able to deliver value back to Georgia's 10 million citizens, to be able to make sure that our 22 million acres of private forest and our 2.7 million acres of state and federal forest are healthy and will be able to thrive for generations to come. He's been able to put leaders in place and develop those leaders that can hopefully continue driving that value back to our society. And I think most importantly, he's been able to make sure that all of us have the confidence in ourselves to also be able to lead. So we're thankful for the work that he's done. I'm very thankful for the work that he's done, his friendship and his leadership. And I look forward to seeing him have a great time with Beverly in retirement as they travel around the United States and get to see all the places that are on their bucket list and do all the things that are on their bucket list. Dear Robert and Beverly, live long and prosper.
Robert, thanks for caring for those you work with and interface with.
Robert, you are a first-class individual with a big heart for GFC, its employees, and customers. You deserve the best. Good luck.
Farris, I love you like a brother. I trust my life, my wife, children, and my checkbook to you.
Thank you, Robert, for your years of friendship. And as Bob Hope always said, thanks for the memories, my friend.